Right, Fambulem, I bring warm greetings to Una. Today, the very last day of July. We will not be seeing July again until next year, 2023, and very critical time for we. We will just have gone through with elections, God willing, and probably a new dawn for the people of Sierra Leone. But again, Fambulem, today na the 31st of July, 2022. The time on my side is 21:13, 9:13. We are 13 minutes late into the program, but like Englishman say, better late than never. So here we are. So me when they talk to Una today, now my name Prince Emil Koma, and this na the TNN TV Media Empire, where they try for bring information to we people them, so that choices the way we people them make, decision the way they get for make, will be based on something where they're well informed on. This na in our prerogative. This now we they aspire for do. That make the people the way they bring come for can help we for understand and talk. They are very critical, important, and germane to the conversation. Today we get two special guests. One of them already don't sign on as soon as I can see. So it go can help we, then we can help we for understand exactly where is our democracy, where is our parliament, and we parliamentarians then with civil society, the press, elections, and bills them within the sign. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the then and now TNN TV Media Empire. Keep tuned and on a help for share. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Una Yerimi and Una Yerimi very well. This is not the TNN TV Media Empire. We they broadcast today the 31st of July 2022, and the time on my side is 9:14. And I've been the United Kingdom. The two guests them, very important guests them. Then they in social media, they help for educate the masses as well, so that we know exactly where we are. And they force things them into we heads. They only they make the analysis them so that you self will able for critically look into them things there and see probably you don't get them wrong or what do you think. So not to somebody they tell you waiting for think, but how for think. Thank you very much. And we first guest already don't register with we na Mr. Boy Jalo Jamboria. Boy Jalo Jamboria. A name kind of unique and una area for una self. I want to welcome you to the program, sir. And I shall say you get small word for Pamulem this evening.
Well, I could just say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever people and they. And I hope say we go listen carefully and begin take things them as they come. Because we country they at a crossroad. We, as you say, now they come for can propagate to people. They come for inform them and allow them for take a decision on their own. We know they spread propaganda and lies. We they discuss issues on the merit. So if I reach there, I will give the floor back to you, sir.
Many thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just hear the opening part from one of we guests them with the hopes that the second guest could join soon. And like the guest say, we are at a critical juncture. I mean, every time there is something critical, but the mask get even more critical, and this is where we are. And I sure say that steam pot they get for boil even more. But Jamboya, you want to take the floor and answer him one quickly, please?
Okay. As Prince been they say, or as the host been they say, we country they at a very critical point. And some of we don't begin to scared with what's in the gun because you cannot have a place that you call a country and the people and they constantly at psychological and other kinds of war. If we want to be honest with ourselves, we country they are at war. War is not only by definition the use of weapons. First of all, it begin with the emotions, then it go to the words we would use. And for some time now, we not see people them even on social media, then come and talk to themselves with decency. Even up to as recent as yesterday, I had a shock when I read somebody where I consider of a very high standing. They come na social media, they respond to something where na analytic statement by way of trying to throw an insult. That make I ask myself, say, what has really gone wrong with Sierra Leone? If somebody claims to be educated, then the kind of public for can begin use all kind of word for creates conflict, then does that person what the salt of being termed or called educated? But I go give the floor to Mr. Kuromale come back and introduce the topic we'll get for discuss today. Then we go take them from there, because this thing has gone too far. And as Aki always say, we are all blood relatives in Sierra Leone. We not need for can begin the fet and cause we self, especially so on social media where they go global. And this state of animosity we don't build, it even affect the politics within our country. It affect the economics. It affect the sociology. How can we stop this? But Mr. Kuroma, let we go to the topic. Let we see what thing will be we observations about some of them things here than they do now the country now, and how waiting I talk about so the state of emotional and psychological war with Sierra Leoneans then constantly they on how they play into them things here.
Yeah, thank you
Then
very
maybe
much.
at some point we go offer certain recommendations as to waiting for do.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. So, for go into waiting the guest just say, we need to understand the structure of the state, the functionalities of the state, the thing the way they make the state function. Now, these kind of things them now we need for kind of understand. Imran, if you come off your phone now, you still lay live with me on the phone. We need to understand that. So the structures them we make up the function of the state. I want let we critically look at their functionality there. I want begin from the bottom come up. That not demean any one of them in any shape, sense, or form. Mr. Jamboria, civil society now a critical sector now in society. We in the democratic function of the state. We get a performance we is supposed for do and people then look up to them, and actually it's part of a democratic yeah, sort of structure. Inside salon we get many of them. Before I go any further, my question to you regarding civil society is, what are your thoughts, sir, about civil society? What do you really think about civil society in our country?
If I can talk now as a trade unionist, I am also a trade unionist and somebody trained by the ILO. Civil society has always been in existence in Sierra Leone. And as a matter of fact, at the time of feel say we get one party state, the civil society in Sierra Leone was very efficient. What we have today is hustling society. It's not civil society. All the people that they claim say they get civil society are hustlers. They don't even know their roles in society. The trade union movement is a civil society movement, because the trade union, or what is considered a civil society movement, enroll na for day alongside the masses, the government for day as an arbitrator, then certain interest groups like an employer or an investor, or let we even say somebody will get vested interest in certain sectors in society, the politics, etc. Then they with their own vision and their mission. The civil society now for they as a go-between between the government where they make the policies and these other players or stakeholders in the society. But what we have in Sierra Leone today is we have movements where all the claims say they're a civil society, but what in them focus, either then they support a political party for condemn certain things because they have vested interest, or then they against a political party because they want to protect certain vested interest. That is not the role of civil society. The role of civil society, like the trade union, is to seek the interest of the masses, keep society sane, in the sense that you look at those who don't have the chance to be heard, for them to get a channel to be heard. The trade union, they unionize workers so that the views of the workers will be heard. And the trade union sits with the employer or the investor for discuss the interest of the worker. Then the government comes in as the arbitrator. This is why in the civil society movement, you get what they call a tripartite, three institutions functioning. In Sierra Leone, what we have is two institutions functioning, those for and those against. And that is what makes the civil society a hustlers movement. It's not a civil society movement. Civil society is there to secure social justice and the interest of the greater majority of the masses. I'll go end and there for now, sir.
Right. Thank you so much. I mean, such clarity on the issue of civil society, and I hope Fambul and they listen. Thank you so much, sir. Another thing what we want to talk about again is with the state of we parliament. Of late, of course, parliament always did in the fray of things, but of late, parliament don't become the focal point now with democracy. So I wonder what's your, I mean, contextually speaking, sir, we know exactly what in they happen, what's going on. I wonder what in you view vis-a-vis parliament and the other branches of government, the executive and the judiciary.
We have a body of lawmakers that we consider as parliament, but then lack the supremacy where parliament forget. Because according to the constitution where we get, there is separation of powers. Okay? If there is no separation of powers between the judiciary and the executive, because the president has been given the power to appoint certain people in the judiciary, I don't think say the president get any power for appoint anybody into parliament. So there is that clear division of functions, and there is that clear separation of functions. But what we see in our parliament is that they have not been able to meet up to their duties and for institute the supremacy of parliament, because who do they make the law, now gets the supremacy in society. Even in Britain, where you have the prime minister and other people in parliament, They always try to preserve the supremacy of Parliament. And of course, in the case of Britain, what even make her more efficient and laudable is the fact that the British political system operates without a constitution. Britain does not have a written constitution. But we see the efficiency and division of roles between Parliament and the executive and the judiciary. But in our own case, when you read the 1991 Constitution, you see clear-cut lines, minus the fact that they give the president certain powers to appoint certain people into certain institutions, which is not in the case of the Parliament. The president cannot appoint anybody into Parliament. Everybody in the Parliament is either elected or appointed from within the membership of Parliament. So, if for Parliament, they get a lot of hiccups, then we get to ask certain questions. And I think the question border around one thing. It's about the mentality of the people who they elect into Parliament, their ability for critically examine and function as independent thinkers representing the wishes of the masses. That's the problem. I would end it for there now, sir.
Thank you so much again. And let me just go to our second guest, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, he joined the program late, so we'll not be able to introduce him as per the normal culture of the platform. But this guest is well known. He's got prominence in social media, and he's none other than Imran Turi. Imran, I shall say he's disappeared again. Okay, so we move. We move on. The other thing I want to ask you, Mr. Jamboria, is the issue of we journalists, the press per se, the fourth estate per se. What's your perspective on this important institution in our country as opposed to waiting to happen now? Probably you can give me a historical analysis and then we fast forward to where we are today, sir.
Historically, we used to have a press where you have people who will go and say, I guess, scoop for go spend money. But today, it's like they have allowed themselves to be compromised. Compromised in the sense that recently I read something about giving subventions to sludge. The press is the fourth estate. Fourth estate means Parliament, judiciary, executive, and the press. The press should be independent. And we are forgetting one thing in Sierra Leone. If we want to be independent, we get to try for get economic independence. I will say I am economically independent because one reason you make I'm not afraid for talk, what I want talk. I'm not a cost person, but I tell you how I see them. Is that I not get for go big job to nobody. Nobody not able give me job. I have created a job for myself. The press in Sierra Leone don't sell their independence because they not try over the years for build an economic independence. And because of that, we have seen governments come and use and abuse the press. But as it is now, for Mekayeri say, a whole press organization, they receive monies from the government. That has compromised their position. And I would say, without fear, that we don't have a press in Sierra Leone. We have a propaganda machinery. They either say it to suit the powers that be, or they keep quiet when things are not working right to protect their economic and maybe other interests. We don't have a press in Sierra Leone. Don't be left for talk about press. Don't fear not and name give them. I wouldn't want to call them hustlers. They are not hustlers.
Yeah. Okay. Again, many thanks, sir. Of late, we don't see boku things that happen in the country. Of course, the things that we talk about earlier are one of real substance, but then you get sensationalism and the lily politics, the Jojo and chit chat Englishman column. So, I sure say you don't hear about mystery container, trafficking of drugs, frozen chicken, something around this container business. I wonder whether you can rub more on that a little bit, sir.
There has always been drug trafficking in Sierra Leone. That's the first point I would make. It has been a problem in Sierra Leone, quiet as it was, but now it is becoming very open. Drug trafficking not begin even with the last government. It started well before that. And there are sets of people in Sierra Leone who are involved in it. I don't want to begin to make any accusations, but I know for sure it has always been a problem, and there are many businesses in Sierra Leone that are cover-ups for drug traffickers. Sierra Leone has always been what they call an entree port. Drugs from some other country passing through Sierra Leone to go to some other place. That I know. But the recent incidences and the videos that we see, I think this problem is becoming scary. It's becoming very, very scary. Scary in the sense that when once drugs infiltrate into a society, the next thing they can then have violence. We have seen it in Mexico. We've seen it in Colombia. We've seen it in all the Middle and South American countries. This is the fear some of us have. Men are care who are selling drug. If you want, you go sell your drug, you get your billions, now your business. But for go put a society at risk, especially a society where there is poverty, a society where the security apparatus is not efficient. This is scary. And I think we need for begin make interventions with the international community. There is a drug agency for the United Nations. Sierra Leoneans need to begin to raise their voices for these people to come in and do proper investigation. Who that them found guilty, let the hold them responsible. I would end it there, sir, for now.
Thanks, for the brilliant analysis regarding drug, a little bit of our historical context there. Also, in recent times, one of the most theatrical, and this is my own description, and I take responsibility for that. I'm Inspector General of Police. Got the sacking, and you, as possible, they monitor events. I sure say you've been a follow. I wonder whether you get a different perspective away from others, or probably the same as with others, on the sacking of a police chief way being handpicked by the president, served the president at his own detriment, been due for retirement, and ended up getting sacked. Your perspective, sir?
Well, whatever the reason we make them sack him, my own perspective is that he has been used as a fall guy to cover up something. What that thing is, I don't know. We may need to find out. But this is a kind of signal to everybody where they go and dance, especially the one they can on social media. They can try for insult people on behalf of a system where the masses say is not right. I don't know, I don't remember who that make that statement, but somebody at some point in time in the past said, revolutions always eat up their children. The Inspector General is not the first victim of that. We saw at the beginning, we had an over-enthusiastic chief minister who was all over the place, pretending as if he is Lord Hoho, making all the rules. They put him in backstage. We saw a whole ambassador who was sent into oblivion, and we don't know where he is now. There had been several other cases of lesser proportion. Now we get Inspector General Sovula, who been they talk all over the place. They show power. They send in boys them for go do what they want to do, as if to say there is no end in time. This is a lesson. It's a lesson to all that everything that has a beginning has an end. Even to the Wauti at the topmost place. Let him know say everything will get beginning, get end. And everything happens for a time and for a reason. It's in the Bible, it's in the Quran. Everything happens for a time and a reason. So Vula, I wish he would have a very good retirement, but I'm not sure he's going to have one. He is now an uneasy soul. Those of you who are Christians, you were told in your Bible, what does it pay a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And I'm sure our brother Sovula is now in that situation. He was a fall guy for something. And I'm pretty sure it's connected with this container issue. This container issue will not get the clear picture it. But I'm going to assure everybody that over time, the truth about that container issue will be known. Then we will know why Ambu Sovula lost his job. I'll stop there for now, sir.
Once again, many thanks, sir. And I want to go straight to another huge institution, critical institution in the country, which is the banking institution of the country, specifically the central bank. We've seen a dismal performance, and again, this is a description of the bank governor, Professor Calon, and it's been a number of years now. Things not seem for to get right. They've produced, they've advised, they've politicized, they've cut corners, but things still not seem for to get right. Yet there have been some major scandals them where they happen within that sector, which is we hear at one point before then the bank governor come out and say they bribe people and with 68 million. That was a scandal in itself. But somehow social media we then douse and down. And supporters, them or supporters of the government come and confuse people, and before we know, it became a hash. Nothing, kind of happened, and that went buff. That go buff. But recently, we see denomination of we currency, and then of late, we already say 800 billion again is missing from the central bank or was withdrawn from the central bank. I wonder what you make of all this, sir.
From that time where the bank governor go to parliament, where he repeat over 5 times say he had to bribe people to get back money into circulation. If we had a serious government, now from that time, them if we don't terminate in service. But because they kept him there, and with what happened after that up to this point, It's an indication which we may need to prove that there is a collusion between certain people in top places in power and the governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone. The Leone as it is only valid in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and maybe Liberia. It's not like the dollar or the pound sterling where then they use globally. So for make within a specific period of time and under a specific government, the Leone, the short, if they disappear, we may need to ask, who is benefiting from these shortages? Who? What is the reason behind the shortages of the Leone? Is it some money laundering game that is going on? That people will take out huge sums of the Leones from the central bank, then go keep them for go buy currencies where they no say get international value for smuggling out of the country? If that's the case, then the answer is whatever is happening now is a well constructed money laundering activity involving top people in government. And the bank governor is an accomplice to everything that is going on. Because the Bank of Sierra Leone deals with commercial banks in the sense that they give out monies to the commercial banks to put into circulation. If there is a shortage, if that money is lost, they should have a system to track which bank they gave what amount and it disappeared. Since this talk came about 800 billion disappearing, nobody no ever mentioned about the Bank of Sierra Leone's ability to track. Instead, they talk to we like we na idiots and dumbe. We don't 800 billion don't lost. Who took it out? Was it taken out of the Bank of Sierra Leone vault? Or was it given to commercial banks and they could not account for it? This is a question we're asking Mr. Calon. I'm not calling him a professor. He does not deserve to be called a professor. I'm asking Mr. Calon to answer that question and answer that urgently.
So the case of the parliamentarians then, in terms of what you just talked, sir, because we ordinarily can write, we can talk, we can blog, we can vlog, but people way wield power. And now they talk about parliamentarians in this case. We get the right and the power for summon these people and for can explain what is it about the people's money. When we see the bank governor come 68 point some more million gone just like that. So let me try that and nothing not happen. We are talking about $68 million. And if we want to understand $68 million in a state wreaked with poverty, the lack of want, so obvious all around the place, imagine what $68 million can do. There are many things of magnificent proportion where 68 million can do. Yet the bank governor come and tell we say, then bribe people them, and I like the point where you make, sir, for get the money back. But when you dey bribe people them, or when you dey give them money then out, and the central bank analogy of the money, whether na commercial bank then give or na people and then give, there are records of this. If it not go well, people can be either arrested or ask for return their money there in a proper democracy. If they not return them, then obviously the law can take in course. But none of this has happened. Which brings me come to with Parliament again, sir. Do you think Parliament is we can hold them for dereliction of duty? We can question them, say, well, they perform well. Again, your view on this, please.
I think we can hold them for what you say, accountable for what you say. And we need for begin educate the masses, let them know say the members of parliament not they do their duties. Another thing I see in our parliament, listening to a good number of them talk, is that they have a functional literacy, but they are not educated. Education is not a title. It's your ability to critically examine and make decisions. Okay? And for you to be able to take that stance, there are certain knowledge you need to know. Like, for example, I don't tell you just not say, the Bank of Sierra Leone, not they deal with the public, they deal with commercial banks. The money where they go into circulation, they not they go give me and you not they go Bank of Sierra Leone for go take money there because we not get account. They not commercial banks will get account. The only person who will get account with the Bank of Sierra Leone are the government of Sierra Leone. And that is done for a security reason. Secondly, there is something which I didn't say just now. I don't know if electronically they don't change the system. But before now, the vaults of the Bank of Sierra Leone, now 3 people been they open them every day and close them every day. This I know, not because I worked in the Bank of Sierra Leone, but I had an uncle who was the secretary to the Bank of Sierra Leone in the 70s. Before that vault they open, all the 3 different people get for come. Every man gets his own level at which they open. So if they say money disappear from the vault of the Bank of Sierra Leone, that also brings to question who took those monies out of the vault? Who? Who had the authority to enter the vault and take out money? If they say then we don't give them money to commercial banks for put into circulation, then they should be able to trace which of these commercial banks are culpable. And Parliament, as you rightly ask, can be able to do this if the parliamentarians know what I am saying now. But if they are ignorant of these facts, then they have to begin to educate themselves, because being a member of parliament, your first duty is you get for learn and learn a lot of things. That is why instead of parliamentarians going to talk about welfare, they should have asked about provision of a staff. In this part of the world where every parliamentarians get an ancillary staff, then get in small offices where I think in Britain they call them clinic. Outside people then go lay them complain, then go make them suggestion. The parliamentarian and staff now then duty for do research and find out. If we parliamentarians and we get people that they do research about the operations of the Bank of Sierra Leone and why this thing happened, they would have had enough data for call Mr. Calon say, Paddy, that money we lost, what he make it loss? Either they are colliding or colluding with the man, because some of them may be accomplices, or they just don't know. And I think Salon deserve better than what they get so now. The quality of public administration in Sierra Leone is like a 13th century administration. And I think we need to make people know that and let we upgrade. We computer the old. Let we upgrade.
Okay. Again, many thanks. Obviously, we other guests don't join. We'll not get much time left, so let we get an opportunity to address some of
Let
these.
yourself talk now. Let not drop off again. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Today it's been really dodgy. Anyway,
Imran,
and
not
then
drop off again. Oh.
Imran, you need for shift to you left a little bit. Imran, you there, Iwi?
You
Imran?
seem for the in poor connectivity area. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
exactly. You see in video they freeze in and out. So you know even the Iwi. So the Iwi sound. So it's got poor connectivity. Yeah. So Imran, if you the Iwi, when you think say you all clear, not hesitate for interject or budge in the conversation.
Yeah.
Back to you, Mr. Jallo. Um, many thanks for outlining anything here because this is exactly what we talk about. I want to take you to the national registration and NIN number. In other words, the public elections bill we recently passed. But as we understand, it passed without the inconvenient parts them we be embedded inside them. What if you have the public elections bill, this registration process, I mean the whole timing, elections not that far away. Are we behind? Are we going to be able to make it in time? Iman,
Maybe.
no.
Imran,
Go ahead, sir. The man frozen.
maybe for we level of technology in Sierra Leone, we may be behind time for the election. But as far as I know, with the kind of technology we do now, most of these things that we see as uphill task, we can do it within 3 weeks, 1 month, and get it done. But coming to the issue of the electoral bill, we still have to look at what was passed because I not get time for look and see what in there to the advantage of the electorates and what in there to the disadvantage of the electorates. But by and large, the key areas of contentions when I've been the national identity number and this proportional representation where they be introduced, plus putting in an electoral bill that women should have 30% representation, I go still say we get for watch. Let them not bypass, go use other tactics for come with them things here. Why am I saying this? Yesterday, I saw a video going around wherein there was a group of people meeting with women, etc., etc. Then say Ministry of Gender or whatever. Then they meet and try for talk, say the president has the power to bypass the constitution and declare, say, then for use this, then for use that. One thing I go tell people, then Leo left this joker business alone. The president may have powers to appoint certain people. The president may have powers to take certain decisions, but it does not have the power to bypass the constitution or a law, a statute. It does not have that power. Because I even hear we first lady, they talk that at some so-called dinner or whatever, where they get sent. This all tell the paladida, all tell now who get dinner. The president does not have that power. Don't get that clear. The president in power is limited to appointments, not interfering with the laws of the land. He cannot interfere with the laws of the land. We are not being ruled by decree. We are not in a military junta. We are in a democratic state run by statutes and a constitution. So that joke day, whoever they instigate them, let's swell them and sleep with them. The president not get a power day. The powers of the president is only to appoint. And even the appointment is limited. Like, for example, Usa will begin, I tell you, say, president not get power for appoint nobody into parliament. That's clear. You not get no power for appoint nobody. If president being get power for appoint, then they'll not be for vote for speaker. Now be for appoint them. Okay? His powers are limited to executive role. He can appoint a clerk. He can appoint a functionary to work as an administrator in parliament, but he cannot appoint the speaker of parliament. The speaker of parliament is appointed by parliamentarians or elected by parliamentarians. Anything we don't go into the laws of Sierra Leone, if the president bypass them, it can be a treasonable offense. Because every citizen of Sierra Leone can commit treason. The office of the president is what is protected, not the person. If he bypasses that, then we will instigate parliament to pass a vote of non-confidence on him. He will be removed, then we can charge him for treason or attempted treason. Now begin to get certain things clear. The president of Sierra Leone is not God. He gets powers, but there are limits to his powers. And the constitution is above every office in Sierra Leone. It is the constitution that gives the mandate for statutes to be made. When once a statute has been made and accepted and signed, then it becomes a wing of the constitution. So if you tamper with a statute, then you have tampered with the constitution. I think we need for begin educate people then, because it's like whether they will get now in a government, then they assume say the entitles the important pass voting they're supposed for. No. And according to Einstein, education is what is left after learning. You may have learned all you have to learn. But what is left, which is practically applicable in society, is what we need in Sierra Leone, not your titles. Keep your titles. It does not have that power. It doesn't. So let them left that joke there, because what thing they try for do now, because the masses, the diaspora, and everybody don't stand against the electoral law, where there be one pass, we are not see the new one where they agree on it, but what I believe very much say is not different from the 2012 Electoral Act. Now that they have failed to have their way, to include national identity number, to include proportional representation and all those other things that would have given political advantage for gerrymandering and such things. Now they are instigating some group. As a matter of fact, if such a protest is going to come up, it should not come from a wing of the executive, a ministry. It should come from the public. So let them keep that dream they do big.
Yeah, talking about the protest, a protest. I mean, don't you find this somehow intriguing, if I can use the word, permit me to, that for quite a while now, the Sierra Leonean people have wanted to protest legitimate reasons. I don't know whether it was propagated, organized, championed by the opposition as alluded to by the government, but the people let me get legitimate reason because cost of living is difficult. Poverty is on the up. Infant mortality rate is on the up. Basic goods and services, I mean, people they can't afford them. They don't have the money, they don't have the job, they don't have opportunities. And in any democracy, people will take to the streets for demonstrate. And sometimes the government can help for facilitate the demonstration and they, because the people they need for vent out their anger, their frustration. But none of this has been permitted so far. But now with the say people woman yeah, they come out for can demonstrate. I mean, how you see this?
Demonstrate for waiting, for making them get them percentage.
Well, I don't understand, sir. So help me to understand that with along with the viewers there.
Where
I
woman
mean,
them
what's
be
the option
commanding this year for demonstrate, they not arrest and molest them. Also, demonstration a one-sided issue. Like how we first lady be don't talk say na SLPP na in a Sierra Leonean. Eh, una tell that girl say na Senegambia I belong. Like keep quiet. Some of us are more Sierra Leonean than his husband. So let us not begin insult people their integrity. A state is a composite of different interests. It's a composite of different parties. You cannot begin to marginalize certain people, forget certain people, say now they no more belong. It's not a state. It's a cabal or it's a clique. And Sierra Leone is called the Republic of Sierra Leone, not the cabal of Sierra Leone or clique of Sierra Leone. Whoever want for demonstrate, say, then forget and quota, they have a right. But it should not come from an arm of the executive, a ministry. If it's an independent demonstration of women of Sierra Leone, they have a right. But if it is being engineered by a specific ministry, where the ministry is supposed for sit down and examine, waiting for include, forget gender equality, where they not ever do. Gender equality is not about politics. The home, the relationship between the husband and the wife is part of gender equality. Where I live, we have gender equality. There are certain functions where men not they do in Africa, and they do them. Today, na me cook na me house. It's part of gender equality. They tell me we've been the born picking, we born the bobo born na, then get 1 year maternity leave. I was given 6 weeks maternity leave. Then say papa's permission so that I go deal with the picking at that time. It's gender equality. Housework with the sheba equally. It's gender equality. The workplace, where they work. A woman and a man get equal rights, then get equal access to opportunities and pay. No man not invite woman to a motel or hotel for go do what thing for do for make a give am opportunity. That's gender equality. As a matter of fact, we don't have any law in this country that stipulates a percentage of women to be in politics. But when you look at this country, 60% of the offices are controlled by women. The greater percentage of people in politics are women. Why? Because the women were educated and told what to do, how to do it. They made efforts. And because the laws are there, we have a law on gender equality and anti-discrimination. We go beyond even the rights of women. Where they secure and safeguard the rights of women and minorities. If a woman applies for a job and she has the qualification, but she is not given that job because of some funny discrimination reason, whoever the head of that institution will be in deep trouble. That's gender equality. Not so gender equality for go begin say, moi lelesia. No. Or sabe sang. No. We have women's institution in Sierra Leone, women's organization. I don't see them preaching gender equality. They are only preaching equality for a club or a cabal. The Ministry of Gender Affairs for employ professionals, let them guide them. Now then duty for come out with a draft where they go present to the lawyers them of the country, let them come with something well lasting about gender equality. And if we begin from the home upwards, girl picking for get equal access for good school like boy picking. Now left all this the round business na salon now. Do ya? Big. I go end it for now, sir. I think Imran want for coming, let himself car up more small. Hello?
Yeah,
I think the two people have dropped off.
Are they with you, sir? Are they talk about the issue we just talk about just not lengthily, gender equality and etc. We all boil down, begin from the first lady and statement the way you make. I'll ask you questions about the first lady. This first lady, of course, this first lady is in a class of her own. And normally, this position will be a very ceremonial position. We don't see heads of states them previously before this one. Whether we want to go to Miata Stevens, we want to go to Hannah Momo, we want to go to Patricia Kaba. The role was largely ceremonial, and we see how they perform. But obviously, not mean say the role cannot change or the duties of the office of the first lady, if it ever exists, cannot change. But this first lady, they on a pedestal of a different kind altogether. And me question to you, sir, is it positive or is it negative? How exactly do you see? I know say you choice of words is not going to be kind because I've listened to you before, even about 5 minutes ago, what you say. But how do you see the first lady, how they pursue your issue, getting involved in policies, in government business, and what have you? You view.
If you are a social scientist, you would understand that we have deep problem at State House. Our first lady is doing what she is doing because, one, the people around her, including the husband, don't understand the role of being first lady. Two, we have a kind of personality issue involved. Our first lady is behaving the way she is behaving because she wants to be somebody. She is a wannabe. People who matter don't go all over the place trying to be seen and recognized. Okay? I wouldn't want to pass a judgment, a social or a psychological judgment. But I believe, and I'm strongly convinced from my experience as a trained social scientist, because every professional teacher is a trained social scientist. We are trained to study minds of people. Okay? I believe we have a case of trauma. She is a good person. She's a good person. When every human being gets in good side, he gets in bad side. But there is a factor overriding what we see her do. And I think if she is ready, she can overcome a lot of these things and become a better person of what she is now. Okay?
Yeah.
There is a case of trauma. Wherever it came from, I don't know. And she is not alone. We have seen, I have listened to, I have seen, I have read several. But all of it boils down to one fact. For most of these people now in power, they were either young men and women at the time when we went to that 11-year war, or they were children. After the war, no post-war trauma healing was done. So these are some of the factors playing into their behavior. There is a lot of aggression, there is a lot of anger, there is a lot of identity seeking going on in Sierra Leone. And
Yeah.
she is portraying that. She can be a better person.
Yeah.
She
Let
can be a
me.
very good person. But she
Yeah.
has to get herself out of that cyst
Okay.
that is seeking identity.
She has to get herself out of that cyst that is seeking identity. Boy Jalo Jamboria. Imran Idewi.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah.
Good
Thank you very
evening.
much.
Good evening.
Thank you very much
Good
for
evening.
making effort for joining.
Yeah,
We
good
really
evening,
don't.
Sister Bello.
Yes, sir. Well, you are still wobbly.
Yeah, your voice, you muffle and you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not. Would they hear you, boy?
Can't
Not
you
let
Yeah.
me
find
know.
a position that may give you more connectivity?
I think connectivity fine. Which are the suspect now? I don't know if they use earpiece or they get another application. Turn on. Let's see,
They
man. No,
don't
it don't
freeze back.
freeze. It don't freeze again. So definitely it does have connectivity problem. MM Iman Yeri.
Yes.
Iman, I don't know how you did you. I don't know Nagbintila offend Mr. Jamboria son.
The
Nagbintila
man
really
of it can't be it Mambulo. A Mambulo is the talk from Naime.
yeah, exactly, Mambolo.
And the devil Casilla Nino season truth.
One mango upset with you, Mambolo. Anything negative, we attach to Mambolo. Iman, you line really bad, and when they come towards the end of this program, I'm going to give you opportunity for a much small, but still,
Yeah, let's say of much now by this
but
thing.
it's still steam for the hard problem. Are you okay now, Iman? So there we go. Iman, your line is extremely bad. I wonder after you did so you go get for answer question for this. We are not getting you at all. So let's stop right there. Mr. Jamboria, we coming towards elections. We're coming towards elections, and most of the work that we've been doing for try for conscientize the minds of Sierra Leoneans. Them so decisions that eventually we then go take will be one of an informed choice. So not just they go into this, and it seems like a lot of people are picking up on this. Like I tell you earlier on before we come online, a family member of mine, when they call me shortly and when they tell me about the situation down there, which of course every day they hear about that. Every day I get friends, family where they call me. But it seems like the situation is getting worse. But election is drawing near. Do you think, say, the Sierra Leonean people are getting the message, in terms of the direction where they go let for go? In other words, upset with the current direction whose side they have been taken, and potentially whose side they want for go. Are they getting the message?
My honest opinion is that Sierra Leone is a divided state as it is. There is a sector of Sierra Leone that have got the message. Whether they are in the majority or the minority, I don't know. It's left to be proven at elections time. There is another sector, a section of the country. They are getting the message, but they believe the message they are getting is coming from the enemy, because they have allowed themselves to be brainwashed into believing that their brothers and sisters are their enemies. And this was done by no other person than the present government. I am talking now as a corporate person, the body that is there as the government. They don't divide we country to the level that I think it will take time for make we get sanity back in that country. The people that have been supposed for pull we out of that insane condition where we don't find we self so now of division, which is the fourth estate, the press, has been compromised. They receive subventions from government, so everybody seals their lips. The few will get mind for talk, then they talk with caution. So it's a really sad situation we have in Sierra Leone. But there is a solution. The solution has to be thought of by those of us who are out here in the diaspora. We all have relatives in Sierra Leone. If we're then at the diaspora means good for Sierra Leone, now we put aside party politics. Because voting then don't breed in Sierra Leone, if we not manage them properly, is going to take us to another crisis. And that one will be worse than the 11-year civil war. It may not be a war of weapons, but it will be a crisis. We go see we country go into deep destitute where we not imagine right now. Please, we are asking that we sit down and re-examine. We are asking that we sit down and begin to use wisdom in Sierra Leone. If anybody feels say, it go continue to get power or hold on power by doing this, I want to assure you one thing. You may succeed for some time, but when the whole gimmick boomerang, you'll be the worst affected person. Please.
All right. Okay. Before we come to the final round of this brilliant program tonight, I just want to acknowledge a few people in the chat room. We get Memuna to Muna Bari. Women's rights are human rights. That's very true, Sister Memuna too. Seems like a first timer. Name looks strange, but you are highly welcome wherever you are. Many thanks for that contribution. You're absolutely right. Marie Kamara, indeed, I believe they resonate the view of Memunatu and the guest, the opinion on women's rights. Janet Mata, Musa, gender equality, the state in which access to rights or opportunities is unaffected by gender. That's a description the sister Benigiwi. Many thanks for that, Janet. Memunatu Munabari again. Yan Safa thinks she's still on a movie. Yan Safa. I think that the first lady that this woman they refer to. This is the first ever they hear this name. Yan Safa thinks that she's still on a movie set. Out your acting days are over, woman. Dear Janet Mata.
Tina woman to woman, let them try.
Yeah, exactly. So not put much name. So, combating gender stereotypes and sexism, preventing and combating violence against women, guaranteeing equal access of women to justice, achieving balanced participation of women and men in political and public decision making, gender mainstreaming. That's Sister Janet. Many thanks for that. Jenny Kamara, so true. Marie Kamara, very true. Memuna, indeed. Linda Ling. Isa Kamara, watching. Hello to you all, 1820 of you guys. Abbas Rena is watching. Abdul Karim Commander is watching. Arun Kabu is watching. My Salon HDG is watching. Memuna Tusuna Munabari. Thanks. Second time, sir. Thank you both. Karamo Kaba is watching. Hi, Mr. Kaba. How you do? Next time, we dey ask una, this is not just a request kindly. If una can put us on the watch from, it make we algorithm very, very strong on the media. Who's on the call from, and then we can acknowledge that. But many thanks, folks. You know, it seems like the messaging is all positive, and people capture mostly on where the guests begin talk about gender equality. Mr. Jallo, finally coming towards the end of this program. I want to talk about the All People's Congress where they're in opposition. We've spoken a lot about the government, the All People's Congress, the structure around a 21-man committee, the APC in opposition marching towards election. Optimism, pessimism, what do you think is going to happen elections-wise? Are they prepared? Are they preparing? Are they going to stay the course?
I am sure they will stay the course. Whatever is happening in the APC is a manifest of the problem, the bigger problem of Sierra Leone. Greed and ego don't eat into our society so deeply that people don't no more care about institutions, they not care about systems. They look at themselves. Sierra Leoneans are on the survival mode. When you live a life on survival mode, you become a danger to yourself. You understand? Because they look at waiting for create sustainable structures. You dey only look at what I go do la get immediate benefit. And I believe say now that don't come into the APC. But I believe say the APC like the SLPP, then get people that way old enough, we go able come in at any point in time for mitigate some of them problems here. Even the SLPP, they expect say there will be structural changes. There are people in the SLPP not happy about what is happening now. But then seem for say, okay, let we wait and see how this they go. You understand? With the APC, it's an immediate problem needing mitigation. And I'm sure they have the capacity to do that. They have the people and the capacity to do that. All this draw away then get, they go come to an end, then go organize themselves, then go to convention, then go do a thing for do, then go be able for stand for the next election. Waiting no more no go assure the ability of the APC for win the next election. After then come up on this hurdle, then get for go the next stage for work and work with other political parties who are ready for work with them so that then go get the votes in certain areas. Because as I said, a lot of brainwashing has taken place in Sierra Leone. There are people who understand that what is going on is not right. There are people, even though they may understand that what is going on is not right, they say, okay, now we dey, anyhow we be. But these are the same people who suffer, like those who understand that it's not right. As we dey talk so, rice cost, fuel cost, lack of electricity, lack of services, etc. It's national, it's all over the country. There is no part of Sierra Leone that is not affected. Even with that area, also you get this West African power pool electricity supply. There have been incidences of inadequate power supply.
Yeah.
These are product of inefficiency, not lack of resources. The resources are there. Sierra Leone has the resources. But inefficiency is not allowing us to use the resources for the masses.
Well, sometimes, Mr. Jallo, you not think saying the something what I want to refer to as premature celebration, because yes, the resources and how we use them, but in terms of them power structure, and you need structural arrangement. So the electricity when they talk about, these are massive projects, so you need structure we go along with them. So if they're structured and they are not all set up and then switch the lights on, for example, and the lights come on, but all the structures are not set up, it's just going to be a matter of time. It will broke down again, or it will only serve certain areas. But supporters then will don't go on and begin for blow the mind, out in terms of success, be the tell you now, talk and do, and what have you. And then after 1 week, the same thing. I see Dr. Sylvia Blind in the broadcast something, and he began for pull out because according to Ram, blackouts. People that wait till we say 24/7 lights don't come. Of course, some of us did not believe that because we not say the structure not complete. We wish that it will happen, and hopefully it will happen. But then premature celebration they are part of the problems, and not so.
The premature celebrations are the product of the propaganda and lies within the country.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we come back to the same thing I say, that inefficiency in the public service is the biggest problem we have. Our public service is so inefficient that they don't do things to provide sustainable institutions and systems. They only do things to provide physical evidences for people to make noise about.
Yeah.
You understand?
Hmm.
And they're always putting the cart before the horse. If you want to talk about 24/7 electricity in Sierra Leone, we can have it. But do we have the structures? Is there a national grid in Sierra Leone capable of handling 24/7 electricity?
There's not.
The sources are there. The West African power pool does not go off. Bumbuna does not go off. We have other mini and micro projects going on producing power. But we don't have the national grid. And if you don't have those structures, then it cannot be sustainable. Maybe even the West African power pool, sometimes the projects where they've been planned, the capacity of transformers where they for can put, sometimes somebody go buy a cheaper one when not to the same capacity, as they put off, it blow up all the coil inside the transformer.
Okay.
Inefficiency is the problem. Inefficiency. We have idiots in power who don't know what to do. They may have all these titles.
All right, sir.
And I'm not afraid to say that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You are saying it already anyway, and you're on record.
I'm on record to always say we are idiots. And that includes me.
and every one of us, because we are all subscribing to the same system. And what are we doing other than just talking instead of acting? Deeds, not words. I get two more questions for you, for wrap up this program. One will be on the presidency. We get a very fruitful discussion yesterday. I call it a discussion. It wasn't a debate, neither that journalistic thing, because when you and somebody agree, it's no longer a debate, it's a conversation with Chernobyl on yesterday.
Yeah, I think I had part of it.
Okay, many thanks for watching, sir. The president is away. The country is in a dilemma financially. And all of this, I asked you a question earlier on about Professor Kalon. You say, they call him professor because worth the name. And we talk about the National Bank and the inefficiency of the conduct.
A professor is a man of knowledge. And if you have knowledge, you perform.
You perform, you show.
If you cannot perform, then you are not a professor.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. And I absolutely agree with you. So the president is out at this particular point in time, has withdrawn huge sums of money from the national coffers, all in the same vein while people are struggling in the country, especially public servants who are not getting paid. As we dey talk so at the say other people then they plan for strikes on public servants them, including doctors who are not being paid for performing public services. Yet the president, I know they say we should not take care of the president because then an obligation than for look after in family. But what do you make of this presidency? Is he out of touch or sync with his people that at a critical time such as this, and not only first time this they happen, it almost seem like a routine, and not only one girl, including the wife. I can always do an analogy between Berinos. You know, my neighbor, I get Berry in my house. Instead of my neighbor quiet, now the tell when my neighbor the whole birthday party while me
I
they
may play
cry.
loud music.
Yeah, exactly, sir. What do you make of all of this, Mr. Jamboya?
We come back to the same thing I've been saying just now. It's a sociological, it's a social psychological issue. And I made a summation when I was talking about the behavior of the First Lady. We have problem at State House. We have a sociological problem at State House. Nobody needs to be told that we have a president that does not care. He is callous to what is happening in the country. He doesn't care. Because if he care, with all them things how they happen, we for don't they see results. We for don't they see changes. He does not need to say a word. He has all the powers to take decisions and have things affected. When Sovula fall out of favor, we see notice we come out, then sack him, not so? Or then retire him, whatever way then call him.
Sacked.
Anyhow he be now, he is no longer there. If Mother Bill cared about Sierra Leone, a lot of things the way public don't they talk, we don't they talk. If we don't take action, he doesn't care. It's a fact that we should not be afraid to say he doesn't care. But the only thing I get for know is there is a time and a reason for everything. And at anything we get beginning, it get end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It not necessarily mean say then get for fet am, pull and day or kill am. But the end get for reach, we get for commodity. Then he will know that out in space it's a vacuum. When you cry, no one hears you. He will know that out in space it's a vacuum. When you reach the highest office in the land, after that you go to space. And if you are alone in space, when you cry, no one hears you because it's a vacuum. Sound does not travel through vacuum. Okay?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you have reached that level in society, you are not only there for yourself, you are building a legacy for generations yet unborn in your lineage. I wonder what Julius Matherbio is thinking about how society will treat his children and children's children. If he has a conscience, he will sit down one evening and ask himself those questions. You may do what you want now. You go scot-free. But you don't leave a taint on your children. You don't leave a taint on your family line. Some of us are proud to use the name Jalo Jamboria because somebody at some point been do something will make a difference in Sierra Leone. It's there in the history of Sierra Leone. Those who know it know it. But what legacy are you leaving for your generations yet unborn? You think that money will last generations yet unborn? Money is a medium of exchange. Good relationship is what makes wealth. Good relationship. Some of we will not get money in our bank, but people and they will sabi who call we name Sebin Ajal or Jamboria, we not restrain for nothing. Julius Mother, try, Opadi, try, let you ask yourself certain questions. You are not the enemy of Sierra Leone. We don't consider you as the enemy. Try and upgrade.
Yeah. Fair point, and I agree with all the sentiments you expressed. My final question to you, not in the form of a question per se, but largely we talk about problems, and it's good to talk about the problems because we have to identify the problems, agree that there are problems, and probably and most likely together we can find solutions. Let me say, of course, earlier on you ascribe it to yourself, which I agree with, a political scientist, a social scientist, and a professor of some sort, because you seek, you sought solutions, you advise, you move and shake people. So if you were in public services today, you were a consultant or they talk with the government, or even in the job where you do in the try for bring some changes to your country, wetin you think say we can do for bring change to we country? Because for 60 plus or more years, the country seem for the retrogress. Not even seem, it's retrogressing. Everything. Not just management, you build 2.5 kilometer road under somebody can add half kilometer there and
Where
make
will
a lot
I
of
maintain?
yeah, exactly, sir, and make a lot of noise. I mean, when are we going to talk about these structures, them, inherent structures, them, way you talk about? When are we going to talk about policies, real substance, instead of story them, oh, I build one water well yonder and what have you? We're not to development, Andy. We are bring one ship way in the supply, electricity. We're not sustainable because anything can reverse them. So, what would you be saying or advising government if you were in a position? And finally, how optimistic are you or pessimistic are you of the country going forward?
To answer your question, I will start by saying one thing. My generation, am I on?
Your answer.
My generation. When I say my generation, I mean the generation we born, go school, go university between 1961 and 1980. We have a lot to take responsibility for in Sierra Leone. What we see now, one thing we might have been saying, we've been right, but he should not have said it. That last program we get, we go talk say, the country been always divided. Yes, our country has always been divided. It is divided by us, the intellectuals. It is divided by us. I will not blame the British. The British gave us independence in 1961. And since then, what have we done to close that rank? Instead, we the intellectuals, now they open the wound more and more. Now they preach tribalism. Now they preach regionalism. Now they preach everything. Why? Now to come to your question, we are doing all of this because one, most of us claiming to be educated don't understand or don't have a mental picture of Sierra Leone. We only see a map on a piece of paper and call it Sierra Leone and say Nayarbon. Then you look in small village na Levuma or a small village na how you call the Kagbantama, he say this na me home. That national picture, that national image is one thing where the intellectual class not able build, because the intellectual class now then they promote the division when not they allow we for build the national image. When you go to tertiary institutions, now they meet all kind regional and ethnocentric club. The second thing we're wrong about Sierra Leone, institutions and systems, whether they are in the public sector or in the private sector, they are run on trust. If I say Prince, let we go register a company, law start for do business. You will agree with me if you trust me. Same way, the people that are elected on trust.
Yeah.
We have a common saying in Africa, when somebody go stand election, we say he's son of the soil.
Yeah.
The son of the soil means this is the man we trust. But for most of us, the intellectuals, when we get into office, we not maintain the ethical and moral foundations for make we continue for enjoy the trust of the people. What do we do? We go there for we own motive. And this is the problem of governance, not only in Sierra Leone, but in most developing countries. In this country where I live, Prince, the level of trust, now I make una the seed and they make HDI and this and that, say Scandinavian countries are top of the world because they trust each other. Trust is a currency for civilized people to live with. It's a currency worth more than money. I can come and give you $1 million today. I can give you $1 billion today. But if you don't trust me, you don't trust me. We don't see them in a salon. Politicians and they spend money for buy votes. At the end of the day, they're not they win elections. Because the people don't trust them. It's a matter of trust. And the negative side about trust is we misuse and abuse trust in Sierra Leone. This thing about tribalism, about regionalism, it's those of us who are intellectuals who know the people trust our words, they trust our opinions, who preach it. So it's an abuse and misuse of trust. This is why most times when I come public, I say it's the intellectual class of Sierra Leone that are the idiots holding the development of that country back. And that's why I would never be a consultant to a government. I'll be that radical telling them the hard fact. And I don't care if they like it or don't like it. Bang your head against the wall, but it's the hard fact. Those who can rationalize will understand. Okay? These are the things we miss. And that's why a country that is supposed to be the richest countries in Africa is wallowing in poverty. Then we get the audacity for the go and talk, say we are the Athens of West Africa. We are not the Athens of West Africa. Because if we were, we would have produced a class of intellectuals who have been for able to say, this is ours, it's for us. Let us make this place. This is the only thing we need to do in Sierra Leone.
But of course, Mr. Jamboya, I take umbrage to that. We are once upon a time we were the anthem of education because it produced people like you. Will you disagree with that?
I educated myself.
Where? All right, we go move on.
There are people who went to school like me, they miseducated themselves. And they are the problems today.
Yeah.
I educated myself, maybe because I came from a home where trust, ethics, and things like this were part of the institution of upbringing.
Yeah, well, that's the point I'm trying to make, Mr. Jamboria. So at your time, sir, yeah,
Mm.
you grew up within that environment where there was a structure, a positive structure for positive
Yes,
development.
yes,
That
that I would
structure
agree with.
gradually waned away as we begin to go into the morass in which we found ourselves now. It was never like this before. Yeah. Your dad will look after the neighbor's children. Your mom will look after the neighbor's children, and vice
In
versa.
fact, in
And there
my
was
days when I
trust
was
like
going
them.
to school,
Yeah.
if you meet an elder in the street and you are playing some truant, you will hide.
Absolutely. That's my point, sir. That's my
Because they
point.
will chuck you one patter. You
Yes, one
children do so.
patter.
Ow!
Yes, and you don't get
And
mind for what you paying.
nobody will say a word for that.
Nobody will say a word. You either shut up
At the
and just
time
come and
when
do
I
the job.
started teaching in 1979, you hearing
Oh
me?
my God.
Parents
Yeah,
say
no,
me get
listen.
mind, then they go challenge with the teacher then at school. I not send me picking up for make it candle and this. You poor teacher.
There we go. So now the term way this thing may not begin to
We
wind down now.
destroyed ourselves.
Destroyed
And we
ourselves.
destroyed
Absolutely.
ourselves because a class of intellectuals compromise ethics and morals in society.
Yeah. Very
We
true.
have to accept that.
Very true, sir.
Maybe I contributed to that unconsciously. That's why I always say, whatever is wrong in Sierra Leone, I will not exclude myself. But if now we are aware that this was what went wrong, some of us would want to say it, not with malice. I have no malice for anybody in Sierra Leone. But we would say it for us to be aware that this is what is wrong. What can we do to make it right?
Yeah. Oh wow! What a brilliant head. I get caught up in you yeah, that are not even realize that the plane has landed.
They
Many
blame
many
the land. But not to Lungeo.
no, not to
Abonta go land. So me
yeah,
demia, Madabio, na me demia. I
yeah,
want to know that. I have nothing against him.
yeah. Many thanks, Mr. Jamboria. Many points made here tonight, and many points noted, and will be noted subsequently by all the people that we get for view this magnificent production here tonight. Not forget Fambulem. The country they at a crossroad, and we get for make up with minds which direction we want for go. Maybe not for ourselves, some of us, yeah, around this age gap now, but we can pick in them, and this is the only country that we have. Never mind with the outside, but we heart, minds, and soul still belong to Sierra Leone. After all, now they we never string them, now they didn't bury them. And you know, say if now they didn't bury them, you know what they mean to you. We are emotionally attached. So something has to be done. Something need for change. If we leadership fail, I repeat, then definitely we the people that need for take action. Action in the sense it has to be democratic, not violence. We don't advocate for anything of violence, nothing of that kind or nature. But there is a process called democracy. There's a process called electioneering, balloting. Who say they go cast your ballots for give people and the mandate for let them go govern you. If you feel they're not being govern you well, the choice is yours, and that time is approaching soon. This has been a then and now production. And with me this net, I've been a man vast in knowledge of a different kind. And this go back when we were the anthem. And then we see how that anthem did deteriorate to the levels that we did so now. We now cause and some cause on call. But every good thing has to come to an end. I want for everyone to know, say, Cherno Alpha Ember will be on the platform this Wednesday at 7 p.m. And Mr. Jaboria is becoming a regular contributor to the program. Obviously, this is not the last that we are seeing of him. Let me answer my sister. Probably one
And
day.
I pray let talk boy not run at you.
No, not at all. Janet, hello. I'm still live. We don't end the program. You want to say something, or you just call after the program? The program is closing. What you mean? Oh, okay, you're live, and the one year you say you vex for me. So now for explain why you vex, let them understand why you vex.
Anyway, so all what they really say, I tell them all thank you. I am just saying that I wanted to come in and chip into the gender equality.
Okay, please do. And also, let her do that.
Whether I'm not keep up with whether the bill was passed.
Okay. Let me hear you flow on the gender bill. You know, say the platform can always accord you time out of respect and love. So go ahead and let's hear what's your that. Yeah. Go ahead. You're live.
Well, you know, with the gender equality bill, which I'm able to understand as well is that the don't work on so hard for so long, and then the president may pick them up and say, "Oh, it go make sure that pass as the bill go pass into law," you know, and for allow female participation in the political space in Sierra Leone, and also that women will get rights now every nook and cranny of Sierra Leone in terms of opportunities, rights, and all of those things. So I think to say that promise, a lot of women, they hang on to them. But like I said, I'm not sure what has happened in the last few days, whether that bill didn't been passed or not. I'm not too clear on that, you know, but I'm saying that if they're really not passed that bill into law, it's going to be a huge disappointment to a lot of women, you know, because they talk about 30% of women into parliament and stuff like that. That sounds good, but we want more. Either not only in parliament, but outside of parliament, so we have rights, you know, for being able to participate in decision making regarding Sierra Leone and how women then go play their your hand in building that nation, so that we get, you know, we get our rights day. You know, as somebody asked me recently, what equal opportunity could mean in terms of work and all of that. I said, well, if man and woman do the same work, they forget the same pay. You know, so there's so much that is in that equal opportunity, equal gender, the gender equality rights. I guess a lot of stuff involved in it. But another day, maybe we can do this program when a gender equality is what we talk about. And by the way, thank you very much, Mr. Jalo Jamboria. As always, you were very on point, and always happy for listening to you. And Prince, well, thanks for affording me the time to come out here and speak.
At least I made up, didn't I?
It's all part of nation building, Janet. Thank you also for coming on board.
Mamana Tubari says, thank you very much for always supporting me, brother, on this program. You know, she's always on the program, and I'm really happy. Let's do this again soon.
Thank you, absolutely. It's such an important topic. But before I let you go on the gender equality stuff, with your sentiment you just expressed, obviously it's a breakthrough talking about 30%, but 60 some more years on. You don't think, say, for be 50-50?
Well, you know what? For me, I'm saying there's always a starting point. If I watch Malawi, then they introduced the 50-50 participation of women in politics. And I do research a few days ago. I realized that did not stand. You know, they've gone back to 25% or 30%. So for me in Sierra Leone, I would say, you know what? Small beginnings, 30% for a starter. And then we see how time goes by. Maybe that will increase itself. But what is very prominent in Sierra Leone is that women are given this right for able to participate fully in the political space, political space of Sierra Leone. For me, that is the beginning. You know, I'm not very over enthusiastic about certain conversations that can also say we system, we traditions, our cultures, they restrict women participating in certain areas, you know, whether it's in the home and whether it's, so when it comes to politics as well, They don't take themselves and put it in another situation and say, well, 30-70. So we say small beginnings.
Yeah.
Let us start from somewhere and grow. That is what I will be saying.
So finally, you sound very optimistic, and
Yes.
well, I'll see whether I can douse that optimism without intention down a little bit with a question. Yeah, and this
Yes.
is we say with society highly patriarchal, and the same example we give.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Thank you so much for filling the gap.
Of course.
Yes.
And
thank you.
with Malawi, where you just expressed the sentiment around the now so them be promised and then suddenly it sinks down. Do you think the government is the intention? Of course, the intention is good, but do you think that they will see this through this 30%, or is it just a distraction? Because there's a lot of things ongoing leading up to elections. How real is this from your perspective? Because you're not possibly clued on.
For me, the 30%. I think. Well, first of all, this government, before it came into power, spoke about giving women this right to participate in politics. Even at a time when Mother Bill being first stand in make Kadisi say a running mate, that was a demonstration to demonstrate to the women of Sierra Leone that this party will embrace women when they come into power. So for me, I am saying that if this 30% when they say, and if this bill were to go through and become law, I think to say it would be a starting point, regardless of who's would be president of Sierra Leone. They don't just give me the rights. A person like me would like to return to Sierra Leone and go walk there for the rest of my life. So encourage, like this will encourage women to return home and work. The other day you and I spoke to Femi Claudius Cole. We see Femi Claudius Cole as a starting point for women. We see we FCC, we mayor as an important part of we politics. So we want women who are going to be in that political space. We're going to inspire other women to leave the diaspora and return home and just give services to we people. There's nothing better than that. After all, I'm a 62-year-old woman. What else can I lose now other than paying whichever I don't learn, I can't go home and give that back to the people of Sierra Leone, paying back what Sierra Leone had given me, going to school there and all of that. Go back there. And so truly speaking, I don't know whether I've answered your question properly, but I just hope so the president or the parliament, those are the MPs that will mean this business of passing this bill into law so that women can be, it's a guarantee. When this passes into law, then we are guaranteed, our rights are guaranteed to participate in the political space. I think that this is the reason why this bill is very important for men to make it pass, so that we not will go and the hang say, well, woman, now you can't walk now, you're not a woman. Or no, there is a legislation that supports gender equality, a legislation that says we have the right to be there, we have the right to participate. And you know what? There are girls growing up. They will be inspired as well. Like inside England, I'm near you. We see Liz Truss, vying to be the MP. The PM, sorry. It's very exciting to just see, oh man, they don't begin to map now say, we're not only to be heard, but we want to be counted. We want to be on the map of Sierra Leone for build that country, for say yes, women. And there are women who are capable, Prince. I can tell you that for sure. Men and give you this power, the right to go there and and do and do what we think we should be doing. Even if not in politics or in other spheres of the country, it could be in teaching, it could be in business, it could be some other areas. Just to create that equality atmosphere, equal opportunities, for everybody. Yeah. This is my own dream, my own way of looking at this gender bill.
That sound like very much like you do on a campaign trail, you're advocating for women. Who rule the world? Women. Yes, and that was the voice of Janet Mata Musa. The only difference
Before
was
she goes,
yes,
Prince,
sir. Yes, sir.
I go appreciate them very much if we can get a program on that, because
Please,
I have been involved in gender issues in Norway.
Yeah, we should. We go talk about that, sir. Yeah, we should.
There have been in Sierra Leone in the past this gender awareness issue, starting with this Mami Cummins, John, then form groups, them will be involved there, Aja Danke, Kabia, etc., etc. You see, we problem we get in Sierra Leone is we don't look at the solutions, we look at how to fix problems. We need institutions to address these issues of gender inequality. That's why I always say we need a commission for attitudes and behavior in Sierra Leone than we need an anti-corruption commission. A patriarchal society, as you rightly say, needs to be sensitized. They need to be educated that even though these are women, yes, they can do these things that women do, and they can be maybe better because they have some certain qualities. But until we get those things right, we go to advocate for 30%, etc., etc. I not go work. We go get the bill passed, then another one go kind of state house will go change that bill.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how it goes.
So, I want to say,
I know they say we not need that bill, Janet. Honestly, I am supporting it, but
she's not
alongside the bill, we should be advocating for institutional capacity building.
Yes.
We go broaden the space for gender participation.
And that's what we should be. That's what we should be.
That's why we need a separate program. Now can discuss and examine some of them things here.
Yeah, I know you, sir. Like I say, definitely I can promise live online now that this is a program that will definitely be done. We go work out, the fine lines, behind the scenes and come up with a convenient date and time. And definitely we should do it because it's a very powerful topic.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you again to Sister Janet for making last minute of time contribution. And I'm very happy that I make amends because when I be you don't begin a film. The last contribution we make, we don't begin. The last contribution we make, I hang on to every word we say. Sound very much like a day on a political.
No worry, some of who they support tonight. You have my vote.
Sound like a day on a political campaign trail. The only thing, the emphasis is on 63. I'm a 63-year-old woman, and I'm 63 still got a lot of time, here for go. Thank you very much.
So that's why I want to spend that time in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing what I know best.
So I want to say thank you to everybody who participated in this program today. If I not be call you name, but the recognition in the chat room and the comments they want to make, let we keep the flame alive. There is work to be done. We get with civic obligation. Then we not necessarily get for the government. We all get work for do as citizens. No Sierra Leonean is more Sierra Leonean than the other. This has been a Den and Now production, and I'm Prince Emil Kromah. Say until then, bye bye. Good night.